Hi everyone. What I want to share with you today is a part of my life that people seem really interested in. I wasn't always requiring a power wheelchair to walk. I started using a power wheelchair in 2009. At that point, my steps weren't any longer than the length of my feet, and I was about to become a shut-in as a 31-year-old. It was hard for me to accept needing a power wheelchair at the start of it, but the benefits outweighed the risk. And the cold hard fact was that I probably needed it about 6 months sooner. It took a while to accept that I needed it and to acknowledge it. What happened in my life that brought this on was that I had a rare hip disease when I was 2 years old. The ball that makes up your hip died. And then I had major reconstructive hip surgery when I was 5 years old. Unfortunately, it only provided me with 6 good years of mobility. As soon as I started puberty, my leg lengths started not keeping in sync with each other, and I had to have a lift put on my left shoe, as well as arch supports. This was done to manage the symptoms. No one had told me that I was going to be having trouble again as an adult, and so I had accepted that there was some challenges, but I didn't realize that I was slowly losing my mobility. By the time 1997 had come along, I was having the occasional bad day with my hip, but it was rare. I still had the customized shoes, and the guys in dorm would see me walking fine in the daytime, but then when I would limp to the shower at night, they asked me what happened, and I explained what my shoes did for me and how they let me walk reasonably well, enough that it wasn't noticeable that I was having problems. This was my first year of college, and when I went home that summer, it was a really difficult summer. I had nearly ongoing conflict with my mother. I had grown a lot as a person while I was away and had gained a lot of independence. I had also asked the college counseling staff if they would help me. My mom and dad's marriage had been very poor during the years leading up to when I went to college, and I knew that I needed help. And the college counselors were really good to me. And it's part of why I make videos encouraging youth as well as adults to see wholeness and restoration in their lives. When you don't deal with your baggage, it becomes a big monster in your life that affects your decision making, and it prevents you from becoming the person that you really could be. A polished gem that may have had to go through a really rough time in life, but that you stuck it through and had much more insight in life and were doing amazing things with your life, achieving your personal goals and your desires. I want to share this picture with you. It's from June 28th, 1998. At the time, the evangelist Billy Graham was in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and I went up there to 2 of the 4 meetings or church services that were held. You'll see here in this picture I'm quite tall, I'm right around 6'0". When you're in a wheelchair, the distance between the hip and knee is taken away from your vertical height because of sitting down. So this gives you a true sense of how tall I actually am. And it amazes the people who do my healthcare when they see me, stand up to get to the shower or to the toilet. All of a sudden, I'm a tall man. That weekend, I stayed with a friend that I was making in Ottawa. And you'll see here in this photograph, I was playing with his 2 dogs. There's actually a really special story behind this. The time that I spent formed a relationship that would come back and help me in 2007. In November 2006, I lost the use of my left hip joint. The adult aftermath, the effects of puberty, and the lack of medical knowledge during my treatment between 1979 and 1981 had come back to haunt me. For all practical purposes, my left hip joint was worn out. But because of the disease that I had, my hip had to be removed from my body, carved, screwed back together, and then put in me to heal again so that I could undergo hip replacement surgery. I couldn't just have my hip replaced because of the effects of the disease that I experienced as a child. This husband and wife team were amazing to me, and I can't emphasize this enough. I literally spent 8 months with them between 2007 and 2009 while I underwent a series of 3 hip surgeries in Ottawa, Ontario. They didn't ask for rent. They didn't ask for food money. And in fact, much of the time I was in really bad shape, spending hours on end in bed or on the sofa just resting. And they did more for me than you could ever ask a friend to do for you. That relationship started here in 1998. And those foundation steps proved to be very significant. And it's part of why I encourage you not to, burn your bridges, so to speak. It takes a lot to maintain a relationship. When conflict happens, it takes a lot to keep working at it, reach a resolution, even if it's that you're agreeing to disagree, and then continue on in a relationship. That time in my life paid a whole lot for me and set the foundation for my treatment while I was being treated in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. The next picture that I have for you is from when I was moving into my dorm room in year 2. As I've spoke about, there was a lot of conflict between my mom and myself. I wasn't the same person as when I left for college, and it was a very, very rough summer. I had reached all that I was going to put up with, and I moved back to the college 2 weeks early. It was hard for my mom to accept, but in terms of helping the relationship, it was the right move to have made. You'll see there's a small fish tank in that picture. And I want to share with you this 4th photo. It's from my dorm room of year 2. This is a picture of me standing in front of all my fish tanks. I love pet fish. They're so relaxing. And you'll see in the smallest tank a betta, or a Chinese fighting fish. A few of us in dorm had a betta breeding contest. I lost. One of them had about 200 fish get fertilized, or fish eggs get fertilized, but at last the fish ate their fertilized eggs, and none of us came out ahead. But it was fun, and it's part of learning about yourself and what your interests are. And this is another thing that I encourage people to do in my video, to try things. Not everything you're going to like. And even if you fall flat on your knees, the life experience will help you, so to speak. You know, in becoming the man or the woman that you're able to be, and living out what your potential is. Anyway, this ends the 4 photos I wanted to share with you from 1998, and it's a little bit more of my story. I really do enjoy making these videos for you. It's a real honor. Thanks for this time that you spent with me today. Bye for now.